Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail. Oh, hey, everybody. It's so great to be connecting with all of you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I just so love all of what you guys have been telling us, emails you've been sending us, text message you've been sending. Somehow you got my little cell phone. That was fascinating how you guys did that. You're really kind of smart. But, you know, whatever it is that you do, however you reach out to us, sometimes you send an email through our comments page at the Dr. Pat Show or Transformation Talk Radio, and we do answer those. So if we haven't gotten back to you, it either means one or two things. It either means that the email didn't get to us, or we're probably still working on it. You know, there are some things that I absolutely love to chat about, and we're going to chat about one of them today. But first, let's say hi to Mr. Benny. Hello, Mr. B.
Howdy, Pat. What's up?
What's up?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't hear. I guess you didn't hear me say the first one. Nah,
how you doing today?
I'm good.
Yeah, got some sunshine.
Ready to hit it.
Ready to hit it. I'm a little worried.
Why?
I'm a little worried about the strawberries in the Carolinas that may be a little facing a little freezing over there, but they know what to do about it.
I think they're okay.
They know what to do about it. Yeah, my folks are from the Carolinas, so we know about that frost that comes in.
They're professionals.
You got to just keep the water on the berries, and you got to treat them really nice. You got to talk to them nice, and because I love my strawberries, Benny. I got to tell you.
Well, shortcake, and I mean, the season's spring and summer's coming up.
Oh, I got to tell you, nobody makes a whipped cream from scratch like Linda.
Oh, really?
Family
I did not
recipe.
know this. Oh, excellent.
Family recipe. Yep, that's it. Something about those, you know, the way that her family and them Scandinavians whip up that whipped cream is just amazing. Amazing.
Secret Scandinavian recipe, it sounds
exactly.
like. Right, nice.
So I can always count on putting on like at least 5 pounds if we're going to do the Norwegian eating thing. I can count on, I'm pretty much going to be counting on like, you know, a 5-pounder. Right
Boom.
now. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, that cream sauce and that, oh my gosh. Let me get on with the show, Benny, because I'm telling you.
Hey, you're making me hungry.
I'm feeling the food right now.
Making me hungry. What's going on?
Feeling the food. I'm so thrilled. Dr. Christian de Quincey joining me here today. You know, his book came across my desk, and I thought, yeah, Benny knows this. We get books here. I love books. I'm the kid that grew up in the Bronx that I couldn't read until I was, literally, this was me. I really couldn't read until I was in my 30s, and I went back to college, right? Because that's not the way I grew up. I mean, you know, I squeaked my way through high school, which is kind of good. I will admit this. I was out 48 days in my senior year of high school. But now it's so interesting, the world that I live in. I had to read out of necessity because if you're going to go to college, even me with my 13-year undergraduate degree, if you're going to do that, you're going to have to read. But now I read because I want to. So when I get a book like this, and his book, amazing, BlindSpots, 21 Good Reasons to Think Before You Talk. I like to say, think before you tweet, too. This is what this is about. You know, I'm so thrilled he's joining me here today, Professor of Philosophy and Consciousness. I love that you can be a professor of philosophy and consciousness today. I love that. I wish I would have known about that when I was in school. John F. Kennedy University, Dean of Consciousness Studies at the University of Philosophical Research. I love that too. I even thought about going back to school to study this because I love this. But he's also the founder of the Wisdom Academy, and he offers private mentorship consciousness studies. You know, Dr. De Quincey is somebody that is the author of several books, because anybody that is in the academic world or in school, we get to publish things. In his case, he gets to write about some of the coolest things on the planet, right? You know, I love that we're going to talk about and think about consciousness from zombies to angels and deep spirit. That's not today, though. But we're going to talk about blind spots, 21 good reasons to think before you talk. Now, I cannot say that that is in my wheelhouse, but maybe after today's show. Dr. De Quincey, thank you for joining me here today. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Pat. I'm really delighted to be here and having this conversation with you. I'm looking forward to what's going to unfold.
And I want to talk with you. I want to start out by talking about you, if I could, a little bit, because I was looking at a little bit of your journey, and you know that once you write a book, or in your case, a lot of books, that people sort of write things about you. They write a bio, they put information out there. But I am fascinated about you and your journey. And I wasn't kidding when I said that how do you even get to be a dean of consciousness studies? How does anybody do that? So here's my question. You're here with me today. What are some of the challenges? What are some of the obstacles that you have had to overcome to become you and be here in this very moment?
Wow. What are the obstacles are to overcome to become me and to be doing what I'm doing at this very moment?
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna actually approach it a little bit differently and say that I probably avoided most of the obstacles by deciding at one point that I was going to pursue as a career what my passion is in life. Up until that point, I've had three careers. My first career was as a journalist, and then I moved into PR and marketing communications for high-tech companies, and did that for about 12 years. But my soul was never really in the corporate world, and so around age 40, I decided, I'm not going to waste my life selling my soul for the almighty dollar. I want to use my life in a way that is meaningful to me. And so I decided to, I basically said, I'm going to devote my life to what my passion is. At the time, I wasn't 100% clear what my passion was, so I did some soul searching and some meditating, and realized that I've really had two passions that have continued with me throughout my life. My first was the study of consciousness, to understand consciousness. And the other was the relationship between humans and other animals. And so that became the focus of my work. And consciousness studies basically inform both of those. It informs the relationship between humans and other animals, but also the relationship between consciousness and our bodies. So I just decided I was going to do that, come hell or high water, and committed to following my passion. And I highly recommend that for everybody out there. If you're in a job that you don't love, and you know what your passion is, or you're pretty clear what your passion might be, commit to that, and work to make sure that becomes the source of support for your life.
Wow. I want to talk with you a little bit about, one of the things and thank you for sharing that. I too went the way of corporate America, and I don't know, something happens when we get in our 40s. At least that happened for me, like at about 40. And it was oh my gosh, what the heck am I doing here? What am I doing? Yeah, making money. But there was something that, how would you explain it when folks get this level of awareness that there needs to be a major transformation in their lives? How do you explain it? And what are some of the blind spots that get in the way of us seeing that?
Well, usually, and certainly in my case, and as far as I can see from talking to other people who've been through a similar journey, the trigger is usually some kind of dramatic, traumatic event in our lives. In my case, it was a divorce at age 40, and so it was an opportunity for me to basically take stock and take a look at my life and say, what am I doing? And I realized that I wasn't living a life that was deeply satisfying to me and in a way that supporting my soul's purpose. And and I realized that I am not going to be one of those people who wakes up one day in my 80s or 90s and realized that my tombstone was going to say he never quite got around to doing what he wanted to do with his life. That was not going to be me. So right there and then, I decided I would go back to college, get my advanced degree in philosophy and consciousness studies. In the early days, there was no field called consciousness studies. It's been around now for maybe about 20 years. And continues to grow. There are more and more interested in having variation.
Well, let's do this. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll talk more about blind spots. Dr. Christian de Quincey joining us here today, everybody. Stay tuned. We're going to take a shorty. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Tim Darter.
And I'm Steve Kramer.
Join us on Spirit Fire Radio. Discover how to add the mechanics of meditation to your day.
And watch yourself connect in a whole new way. Find the amazing moments in life's routines that often pass us by. Add to your awareness with Spirit Fire Radio.
Tune in each Wednesday at 9 a.m. for your weekly guide to practical mindfulness. And to learn more, visit www.spiritfireradio.com.
Awaken to your radiant, authentic self. For over 15 years, soul purpose advocate Nancy Monson has been focused on leading change in the lives of those looking to live their true purpose. She is devoted to supporting people in living a soul-directed life every day. Let Nancy help you overcome fear, worry, and doubt. Visit everydayspirituality.com to learn how Nancy can be your soul purpose advocate.
Are you ready for a game changer? Sarah Westall is bringing you Business Game Changers Radio. Sarah brings you leading experts, visionaries, and newsmakers who provide the best commentary on big issues and cutting-edge innovations. Sarah's 20 years as a business executive will help you think like an entrepreneur with expertise, energy, and attitude. Tune into Business Game Changers Mondays at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Are you and your family looking for one manageable lifestyle change that will positively impact your health? Look no further. That change begins inside your drinking glass. Learn how to put a lid on junk drinking by sipping from a recipe collection of colorful, fresh, tasty, wholesome fruit and vegetable blends. Get your copy now of Sip the Garden. Fun, easy drinks for a healthier family by T. Carey Mitchell. Visit lifestyle120.com for information on how to order.
Tune in to The Jen Royster Show, intuitive guidance to inspire your life, each Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific and 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This amazing show is an inspirational hour that will take you on an epic metaphysical journey to discover the spiritual approach to life's greatest challenges. Dr. Jen is an internationally known intuitive counselor, spiritual teacher, and energy healer. Call in for intuitive readings and visit JenRoyster.com for more information.
Get ready to experience Truth Talk Radio with host Deb Acker. Tune in to Truth Talk Radio each Wednesday at 3 p.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com to illuminate the truth in your daily life as you experience life, love, and abundance from a whole new perspective. This hit show will leave you feeling lighter and bring you into a place of infinite possibilities every day in every way. Visit TruthTalkRadioshow.com for upcoming transformative topics and guests. Hey everyone, welcome back. You're listening to Dr. Pat Show, talk radio to thrive by. Thank you all for tuning us in, turning us on. So glad to have Dr. Christian de Quincey joining me here today. The book is BlindSpots, 21 Good Reasons to Think Before You Talk. Most of my life, Christian, I have been told that, my problem was that I was a Sagittarian. That's really my blind spot. And, I've come to know that necessarily isn't true. I mean, it's not something I have to be. But this idea about looking at blind spots, good reasons to think before you talk, it's really connected to everything, isn't it? Can you talk about the fact how blind spots and how and why we should really look at these good reasons to think before we talk? Talk about why that's so important and what the ripple effect is, would you?
Well, sure. Basically, as I write in the introduction and early chapters of the book, is that blind spots are really unquestioned assumptions that we all have that make their way into the common discourse as usually in the form of clichés and just ideas that people keep speaking and sharing with each other, but they never really stop to think, does this really make sense? And so over the years, both teaching and people writing to me about my work, I would come across these cliches, blind spots, just unquestioned assumptions, and I started noting them down. And then after a couple of years, I had enough notes, and I said, well, maybe I should turn this into a book. And some of the most obvious cliches, of course, are things like we create our own reality, or everything is energy, or everything is consciousness, or everything is information. These are ideas that we probably hear, if not every day, certainly quite frequently. But when people make these statements, of course, as a philosopher, I'm trained to really think things through deeply and to make sure that they make sense. And so that's really what the book is about. It's encouraging people not to just spout out these cliches, but to think about them first and to really look to see, is this really what I believe? Is this really what I think is the case? And to think it through a little bit more than people are used to. It's dangerous because when people make these statements and believe them to be true, then unfortunately we tend to act according to what we believe. And we can talk about beliefs, if you like, later on.
Yeah.
I have I think the whole idea that that we create reality through what we believe is another blind spot that we can explore. But if we live our lives according to what we believe, we're basically living lives that are out of step with reality. Mm-hmm. That I make a distinction, is an important distinction between belief and intention. Yeah. A lot of people think that our beliefs create reality. And I would say that beliefs never create anything except perhaps trouble. Beliefs are not creative. Beliefs are habits of mind. They are frozen fragments of consciousness. Every belief is made up of thought. And the thought is a cognitive snapshot of a moment of experience. And then we accumulate these snapshots in our belief albums, and we turn them into belief systems. But the point is that at every moment we are having an experience, and we don't have to do anything about that. It just happens naturally from moment to moment to moment. But every time we take a snapshot of an experience, in other words, have a thought about an experience or an interpretation of the experience, we're basically focusing on something that no longer is, because the moment of experience that gave rise to the belief is now replaced by a new moment of experience. And so we get so entranced by our belief systems that we're looking at these tapestries of frozen fragments of consciousness that are no longer related to the current moment of reality, the current moment of experience. And so our beliefs automatically and inevitably push us out of step with reality. So rather than operating in the world according to what we believe, I think it's much more important for us to cultivate what I call experience beyond belief, to pay attention to our actual embodied experience in the moment as our guide to reality, rather than our abstract thoughts and our belief systems, which are necessarily always some degree out of step with the current reality.
One of the things I was reading in the book that I really loved and had to really breathe in quite a bit is, this idea on intention and intentional healing. I'm really struck by this because, for several reasons. One, having been doing this for 13 years, I've had many people come on the show that have literally, by all demonstration of belief, should not be on the planet, right? But they are. And they talk about healing in an interesting way. In your book, you refer to it as intentional healing. And I think you say, or did a talk at one point, and I'd love you to expand on this. Energy healing is often really intentional healing. And I would love for you to share your thoughts on that, because that is a very powerful, that's a very, very powerful narrative. And what would happen if that would be something that each of us can embrace?
Well, yes. I do have a chapter on healing and specifically the idea of what people refer to as energy healing. And in my work, I make a clear distinction between energy and consciousness.
Yeah.
Energy is something that travels through space, either in the form of energy waves or in the form of matter. But energy is something that both occupies space and moves through space. It spreads out in space like a field. But consciousness is nothing like that. Consciousness doesn't exist in space. It has no size, it has no weight, it has no volume. Consciousness has a very different kind of existence to matter or energy. Consciousness, the essence of consciousness is awareness, knowingness. And so consciousness is what knows that energy exists, excuse me, and it's aware of the different forms that energy takes, particularly in matter. So the bumper sticker I have that sums that up is consciousness knows, energy flows. So consciousness is the knowingness that energy is flowing through the world. So that's the background. Now, in healing, people often talk about energy healing, but they also recognize that sometimes that healing, distant healing, can happen instantly. So, for example, there might be a healer in California, and the healee, the patient, the client, is somewhere, let's say, in Australia, and the healing works instantly. Well, if that's the case, then it cannot be that there's some energy shooting across the Pacific from the healer to the healee, because energy travels through space that takes time. So if the healing is instant, then it cannot be a transmission of energy. Nevertheless, there's plenty of evidence that that kind of healing takes place, and if it does, then it's got to be something other than an energy transmission to account for the healing. And so I've looked into that, and essentially what I'm saying is happening, it's actually consciousness that's doing the healing. It's not a transmission of energy. Since consciousness doesn't exist in space, then distance is irrelevant to consciousness. And so the person could be in Australia, could be on the moon, could be in another galaxy. It makes no difference because consciousness doesn't exist in space. It doesn't travel. So what happens is the healer sets up an intention, and that intention is instantly accessible to every sentient being, no matter where they happen to be. And so let's say the cells in the body of the patient shares the meaning of the intention, which would be whole or be healed. And that meaning then directs the energy within the cells in that person's body that then begins to promote the healing effect within the patient, within the client. It's not, though, that any energy has traveled from California to Australia. Instead, the healer created this intention, be healed or be whole, and then that meaning, that message, registered in the cells of the recipient, and then those cells got to work in manifesting that intention within that person's body, and that's how the healing takes place. So it's really intentional healing, not energy healing. There is no energy shooting across the Pacific to account for the healing.
Well, we're going to talk lots more with Christian about this. And when we come back, we have a copy of the book to give away. And I just wanted to say this before we go to break. Think about this. From a spiritual perspective, only when our intentions align with divine intention do our intentions achieve manifestation. I'm going to read that again from his book. I love this part of the book. We're going to talk lots about this. From a spiritual perspective, only when our intentions align with divine intention do our intentions achieve manifestation. In the great cosmic democracy, we all get to vote, but we don't get to decide. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Stay tuned, everybody. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to be giving a copy of Blind Spots away. 21 good reasons to think before you talk. Phone lines are open if you have any questions whatsoever for us. 1-800-930-2819. Mr. Benny, take us to break.
I found myself dreaming in silver and gold, like a scene from a movie that every broken heart knows. We were walking on moonlight, and you pulled me close.
Put a little woohoo in your life with Keys. Keys Clear Protein Waters have 22 grams of smile-making, attitude-adjusting protein in every bottle. Did I mention its tongue-tingling taste? Not just another guilty pleasure. With Keys, you'll enjoy every low-sugar sip and freedom from gluten, lactose, and GMOs. Who needs the fountain of youth when you can find Keys on Amazon or at Keys, Kees, please.com. Put a little woohoo in your attitude with Keys Protein Water.
Are you searching? Looking for a sign? A message you need to hear? From the great unknown? From the most mysterious place that is the most familiar to your soul in the depths of who you are. The universe put someone here to talk to, someone God gave a blessing to, that you may find insight with. TheAngelLady.net, 1-800-323-1790.
Shine On Radio. Find Your Shine with Kelly is the show that celebrates what makes you, you. Join co-hosts Kelly Wadler and Dr. Pat Basili as they break down how to brilliantly fuel and move your body and love what makes you shine. Kelly is a professional arts and wellness coach dedicated to helping brilliant women find their confidence, energy, self-love, and shine. Tune in to Shine On Radio with Kelly and find your shine on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Hi, I'm Leslie Fontaine with Sheer Alchemy on Transformation Talk Radio, and here's your tip of the day. What happens after we shift? An energetic shift can be disconcerting. When you shift from the known to the unknown, you literally are going into unknown territory without the former rules and constraints that held you in check. You feel happiness and joy, but you're nervous about not knowing what's next. Even happiness can be unfamiliar. You just don't have the guardrails. No one's telling you, it's dangerous, stop, you'll get hurt. Plunge in, leap, taste it. Listen to your intuitive guidance. Let yourself step beyond the boundaries that you've known and challenge yourself to listen to your intuitive guidance, to your higher self, and learn what you were placed here to do. I'm Leslie Fontaine. Visit me at lesliefontaine.com or call 678-665-3366.
Discover the 8 things the elements of prosperity want you to know. Lynn Brown is hosting a life-transforming, soul-expanding evening on April 30th featuring guest speaker and radio host Dr. Pat Basili. Lynn was guided to make this a by-donation event for entrants, and all proceeds will be donated towards uplifting the homeless community. For more information and to get tickets, visit eventbrite.com. That's eventbrite.com and type Lynn Brown in the search.
Disappeared and then I was all alone. I woke up in tears, the relief, and I realized.
Hey, everybody. It's so great to be chatting with all of you today. I'm so thrilled to have, Dr. Christian de Quincey joining me here today. The book is called BlindSpots, 21 Good Reasons to Think Before You Talk. And there are so many things that Christian has put in the book. It's just phenomenal to me. It's the kind of thing that I have to open up and I have to think about, wow, everything is alive. Really? Let's think about that. But before we jump into that, would love to give a copy of the book away. 1-800-930-2819. We'll go to the first caller. And then, Christian, what's the best way for people to find out more about you?
Well, probably the best way is to go to my website, ChristianDeQuincey.com. On my Facebook page, Consciousness for Life, I get a lot of material in either of those sections, and they can also subscribe to my e-zine, my blog, IQ Noetic News. If they go to one or all three of those, they'll get a lot of samples of my work.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
I wanted to get back to what I read from the book before we went to break. You talking about divine intention. You're also, this is where you were talking a bit about the idea of the cosmic democracy. But
Yeah.
there's a line in here that I grabbed onto. And it's this: from a spiritual perspective, only when our intentions align with the divine intention do our intentions achieve manifestation. And then it was like, oh no, please write more about that. And I thought, I'm going to ask you about that. I would love for you to explain that, because I know in the previous pages in the book you do, but I'd so love to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, sure. And the key idea there is the phrase that you use, which is the cosmic democracy. And what that refers to is that every sentient being, and of course that's not just humans, it's all animals, but it's not just animals, it's cells and molecules and atoms, and the philosophy that seems to make the most sense to me is called panpsychism, which means that everything that exists has some degree of sentience, some degree of consciousness, some degree of awareness. So throughout the cosmos, there are innumerable gazillions of sentient beings, and at every moment, every one of those beings is making a choice, is aware of different possibilities, and is making a choice among those possibilities. And so every being has its own intention, and some of those intentions are aligned, and some of them are at cross purposes. But at any particular moment in time, there is the common denominator of all these choices. And so any particular choice that we make just contributes to that ocean of choices that are made by all the beings that exist in the world.
Yeah.
And so for our intentions and choices to make a difference in the world, they have to be aligned with, or they have to surf the current wave of the cosmic democracy that every one of us gets to vote. Yes, we get to make a choice, but we don't get to decide the outcome. As you and no doubt your listeners are aware of, I'm certainly aware of it in my life, that just because I have a clear intention is no guarantee that it's going to manifest. There have been times when I've discovered that even though I was quite sure that it was going to come about, it didn't come about. And so I realized that there are other forces at work in the world besides my own choice and intention. And basically those other forces are the choices and intentions made by all the other sentient beings in the world. And if my particular intention at any particular moment is not aligned with all of these the totality of all these other intentions, then it's not going to be manifest. And when I refer to the divine intention, what I'm talking about is the collective intentions of all the sentient beings, all the consciousnesses in the cosmos. At any one moment, that's what the divine intention is. And if our individual personal attention is not aligned with that, it's not going to manifest. So there's good news and bad news there. Basically, it means that the bad news is for the ego. It means that if the intention is an expression of some personal egoic preference, then it's not likely to come about. Mm-hmm. The good news is that if our intentions do get manifest, it means that they are contributing to the onward evolution of the cosmos, that it is aligned with the forward momentum of the great cosmic democracy.
You know, someone made a comment to me the other day, and I wanted to say it to you, because I've been thinking about it a lot, and thank you, Christian, for that. What I've been thinking about is what somebody said to me the other day. And what they said was that in the world we live in today, if we plug in, like most of the mainstream people do in our country here in the United States, right? But if we're plugging in, and what do I mean by plugging in? From a digital point of view, it's your phone, it's Facebook, it's social media, it's television, it's radio. If people are staying plugged in as many hours as some of the research says that we are, the question that this gentleman raised was, is this the end of any original thought that we could possibly have? And I had to think about, what is he saying? And I thought about it for a minute, and I thought, oh, I see what he's saying, is that we are now taking in so much information that what we are now, not originators of thought, we're synthesizers of thought. And I wanted to ask you about that, because you talk about mind, you talk about thought, especially in the context of consciousness. How do we translate the modern day we live in, Christian, and the impact on our consciousness journey?
Well, that is a really important question for our times. I actually have a chapter on that in the book BlindSpots, about what I call the information revolution. And I won't go into a lot of details now, but essentially the point I make is that, yes, we are bombarded every day by a blizzard of information. It's just way, way too much then for us to process. And so what we need, in addition to the information revolution, is a consciousness revolution. We need to be able to process the information in a way that adds to our wisdom, not just to our body of knowledge. And knowledge without wisdom is probably dangerous. It's certainly not very useful. And so rather than focus on gathering more and more data and more information, at this point, I think what we really need to do is to continue to focus on developing our awareness and ability to consciously embrace the different patterns that are coming at us from this information swirl, and then to be able to intentionally pick out what's useful among this blizzard of information that's going to serve us and our communities and basically the environment as we move forward. So it's a question of balancing the information revolution with a consciousness revolution. So to balance knowledge with wisdom.
You know, one of the things that I'm really struck by in today's world is exactly what you said. 21 good reasons to think before you talk. And I'm assuming that, you know, what you're referring to here is talking in the more conceptual sense. You know, because some people actually don't believe right now, Christian, that sending a text message is actually talking, right? It's texting. But I think that what your reference is, good reasons to think before we talk, good reasons to think before something comes out into the world, right? That we may or may not be able to either change or take back. And, you know, I'm not going to talk about some of the things that are being said from a political arena, but I'm really struck by how many people are going down this path and wish they could take what they say back, especially some of the young people in our society and, you know, what is going on in social media. Is there such a thing as taking something back? in the world of consciousness?
Well, thing is, we can't go back in time. So once we have expressed something, whether it's actually through speech or through texting or writing letters in the old style, once we've completed an action, there's no way to go back and undo it. What we can do is to then make some choices going forward that either clean up whatever mess we might have made earlier on, or that neutralizes it in some way. But we can't go back in time and change what's already been completed. And people who send an email or a text in the spur of the moment, in a moment of anger or high emotion, and then moments later regret it, once they hit the send button, that's it. They can't go back and unsend it. Although I think I've heard that there's some technologies out there that kind of putting a delay on it. And so I don't know if it's already available, but I think there's somebody at least working on the possibility that you will have some moment after you send something and then be able to delete it before it actually completes its journey. I don't know too much about the technology. But in general, we have to take responsibility for our actions. We can't go back and undo something. And if we do something that harms others or it makes an error in some way, then it's up to us to take responsibility, to acknowledge it, and then take the steps to correct it.
Yeah. I mean, for those of you out there, there's so much in this book, and I love the way that, you've prepared the book. One of the things that you say is, listen, over time, you've jotted some things down. And now this book gives us an opportunity to explore, and we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about one of the things that, I don't usually spend a lot of time in the appendix of a book, but I did here. And, the conversation is about miracles. And I know that Christian and I have heard this before. You say I shouldn't believe what you or anyone else has to say, and that it's better to focus on my own beliefs. Nevertheless, I still wonder where the mysteries of the universe fit into your picture of reality. When we come back, we're going to talk about miracles. We're going to talk about reality, nature, and what we can expect. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Access Consciousness is coming back to Seattle this April for 3 amazing events. Mark your calendars. April 20th through the 22nd is the Access Consciousness Body Classes, created by Gary Douglas and Dr. Dane here, facilitated by Dr. Glenna Rice. Explore verbal processes and hands-on bodywork that will unlock the tension, resistance, and dis-ease of the body by shifting energy dynamically. April 23rd through the 25th is the Advanced Access Body Class with Gary Douglas. What if you could undo a whole lot of limitations that you have locked into your body and create an alteration of the way your body functions? Then, on April 26th at 7 p.m., join Gary Douglas for the Abuse Hold class. This is the first time ever that this dynamic process is being presented in a class format. Find out more about these Access Consciousness April events in Seattle by visiting transformation.events. That's transformation.events.
What if we really didn't have to die to go to heaven? Are you curious about the afterlife or rebirth? The highly anticipated new book from author Dr. Susan Allison, You Don't Have to Die to Go to Heaven, is available now. Find out how to find guidance and healing in the spirit realms. Order the book today and put it on your must-read list for 2016. Visit drsusanallison.com to learn more.
Discover the 8 things the elements of prosperity want you to know. Lynn Brown is hosting a life-transforming, soul-expanding evening on April 30th featuring guest speaker and radio host Dr. Pat Basili. Lynn was guided to make this a by-donation event for entrants, and all proceeds will be donated towards uplifting the homeless community. For more information and to get tickets, visit eventbrite.com. That's eventbrite.com and type Lynn Brown in the search.
Are you ready to stop stress, anxiety, and low self-esteem from running your life? Join award-winning author Dr. Friedemann Schaub for Empowerment Radio and learn breakthrough solutions to switch out of survival mode and approach every day with great ease, joy, and purpose. Tune in the first and third Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific to Empowerment Radio with host Dr. Friedemann Schaub on Transformation Talk Radio. Visit thefearandanxietysolution.com to learn more.
Artie Hoffman is the hottest psychic with the warmest heart and the host of the hit show Angels and Answers. A renowned psychic, medium, spiritual life coach, and an entertaining motivational speaker, Artie has helped over 15,000 people with his amazing intuitive gifts, his passion, and his humor. Call 877-ANGEL-02 to schedule a personal reading or to have your own psychic Artie party. That's 877-ANGEL-02. And visit artiehoffman.com and Angels and Answers on Facebook.
I see miracles, because everybody's looking for miracles, and a miracle is happening tonight. I'm gonna take it slow, back on the street. I'm gonna take my time. Now I'm back on my feet. And all that we ever do, you must fight just to keep them alive. That's only advice. Tell me, baby, I've been around the world, but I ain't seen myself another girl. 'Cause I need to know now. There's just one thing I need from you.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. It's so great to be tuning you in and having you turn all of us on. Thank you so much. I really, really love how we get to connect with you. And here's what I want to say. Can you tell folks, Christian, where they can get a copy of the book?
Well, yes, they can get it online at Amazon or any of the other online stores. But of course, they can also get it at the local brick and mortar bookstore, which I would encourage people to do to keep those folks in business. So it's available in bookstores nationwide and online.
Awesome. I wanted to talk with you about miracles, but before we do, as I said before, we have a copy of the book to give away. 1-800-930-2819, or you can send a message into the drpatshow.com or Transformation Talk Radio. Just type your message in there, put in your information, let us know who you are, send us an address, and I will choose the first one that comes to me, and we'll get you a copy of the book. There we go. In the book, in the appendix, you talk about miracles. And I read a little bit about what you have here. And so then you go on to talk about belief. And what you say is, when I invite people not to believe not to believe what I or others say, I do not suggest that you focus on your own beliefs instead. I was so fascinated by this, and I think, man, this is a great way to kind of, bring this full circle. Tell us a little bit about this appendix on miracles.
Well, yes. First of all, just to go back to the point about belief, I talked about it earlier, is that the emphasis for me is on experience rather than belief. So let's go back to miracle. What is a miracle? Well, a miracle, by definition, is a supernatural intervention into the natural course of events. And therefore, it's something that's not explainable by science, because it involves something supernatural. Now, whether or not miracles actually happen is something that science cannot determine. But a lot of people will use the phrase miracle when what they really mean is a mystery. And so, as a philosopher, my work is to make these distinctions in language between the various ideas that we put out there. And so when people talk about miracles, and what they really mean is a mystery, then that's something that is worth clarifying. A mystery is something that we don't know, we don't understand, that in principle, through further research and doing some further work, we can actually find the information and then come to understand it. But a miracle, by definition, is something that is not explainable and never will be explainable. If it could be explained, then it wouldn't be a miracle. So people tend to describe events that they don't understand. Something happens that they don't understand, and they will then just call it, oh, it's a miracle. Well, it might be a miracle or it might not be a miracle, but rather than just deciding that it's a miracle and not doing any further work to find out if there's some knowledge or information that can be understood about what just happened, it might be better to first approach it from the perspective of a mystery rather than a miracle. And if it turns out that there's no possible explanation, then we know we have a miracle on our hands. But if there is an explanation, then it was never a miracle, it was just a mystery. So science is in the business of exploring mysteries.
Yeah.
Whereas spirituality and some religions are in the business of embracing miracles.
Yes.
Not understanding them or explaining them, because by definition we can't. But if a miracle happens in somebody's life, it basically wakes them up to realize that there's something else going on in their lives, in the universe, that's far deeper and more potent and powerful than our own individual consciousness. And so we belong to what I call in my work the great cosmic democracy, or another phrase that I use for that is the creative ultimate. I tend to avoid the word God because it comes with so much baggage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, part of this, too, is I love that you call it that. And I love that we talk about it, and you talk about this in the book, and really talk about this as energy or source. There's just so many different ways now. People are being able to talk about and express themselves now, I think, Christian, in a way that they can express how they feel about spirituality, how they feel about consciousness, how they can talk about these stories. And many people, I think, really want to beat up on, the mainstream media or the mainstream in general. And yet it's really fascinating to see how our subcultures are really coming to the forefront and trying to express the mysteries in life. And that's part of, I think, what you're helping us with in the book. Thank you for joining me here today. I know I've got a minute or two left, and I wanted to ask you this. Probably there are a lot of things we did not talk about, but I wanted to ask you what your personal message is. And thank you for all that you do. What would you like to leave us with today?
Well, thanks for that opportunity. One of the chapters in the book is basically exploring what I consider to be the mother of all blind spots, which is the idea that humans are special. And I think we really have to give up that story and recognize that humans are just one species among all the other species on this planet, in this ecosystem, and that we are all in this together. And we need to get beyond the idea that the world is there to serve the human race, that it serves the human species, that we need to recognize that every species has a right to fulfill its own potential in life just as much as humans do. So we have to get beyond the idea that humans are special and recognize that we are one species among an ecosystem of families of other species. Otherwise,
I want to thank you so much. Thank you for everything. Thank you so much for what you're doing. Please give out your website again and let folks know about the book if you could.
Yeah, sure. It's ChristianDeQuincey.com, www.ChristianDeQuincey.com, or my Facebook page, Consciousness for Life. And the book is BlindSpots, 21 Good Reasons to Think Before You Talk.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Hey, I want to thank all of you out there for tuning us in and turning us on. I want to remind everybody, you've got an hour of Sue Storm, the Angel Lady, coming up. We'll see you next time.
preceding audio was via a Skype call.